So today was one of those days that I just didn't see coming. And I started out thinking we were going in one direction.
It's actually called last viewed timestamp. I wanted to prove or to demonstrate. I wanted to prove or to demonstrate what that timestamp means.
And then it turned out we were going someplace completely different. Houston, I think we have a problem here. What the fuck, you guys?
God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Boy, do I have a fun one for you today. So, because I had recently been covering the Brian Kohlberger story, I ran across these folks who are the ones who did the Cellbrite extraction for the case.
He called his parents formally by the names father and mother when speaking to them. Did you see that consistent throughout his text messages to his parents?
Yes, I did. It's eerie. It stands out from any other case that I've worked in that, just the terminology, the phrasing that he used there. I said exactly what you said in the intro. It's Bates Motel. It is this feeling of that movie and Mother, and it's just super eerie.
Right. So this is why they're data analysts and not psychologists or therapists, thank God. And because of that, apparently algorithms, whatever, they showed up on my YouTube feed just hours after they recorded this video with, you know him and you love him, Mr. Ian Whiffen.
Changes, and this is a perfect example of where the testing that was originally done focused on a particular use case, but this case brought to light additional use cases and different ways that data can be populated, and the possibility that timestamp probably isn't accurate.
And in honor of Mr. Ian Whiffen's opinion that he just won't let go, that Jennifer McCabe's Google search was not conducted at 2:27 a.m. in the morning, even though we all know that it was, I decided to go back and do a little bit further investigation. Now, you may have seen videos I've covered in the past, particularly looking at Mr. Richard Green's testimony from the first trial. But as it turns out, everything that Mr. Green found in his assessment of Jen McCabe's cell phone didn't actually come across clearly during the trial. So today we're going to take a look at Mr. Green's actual report, where we get a lot more and very clearly presented information about why it is that he concluded this 227 Google search was actually conducted at the time that we all know it was. So I left the first 4 pages off because they're just not that important. It just goes through how Richard Green was hired for the case. So we're going to skip all that and get right to the important stuff. USF, or Mr. Green, was initially provided with a Cellbrite UFED report prepared by Trooper Nicholas Guarino.
Do you solemnly swear the evidence you give to the court and jury in the case down here and should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thanks. You can take it.
Hi. Stand or sit, however you're most comfortable, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
May I proceed?
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Yes. My name is Nicholas Guarino.
Mr. Guarino, where do you work?
I work at the Massachusetts State Police at the Norfolk District Attorney's Office.
How long have you worked for the Massachusetts State Police for?
This is year 10 now.
How long have you been assigned to the District Attorney's Office for?
Since November of 2019, so
little 5-ish years.
With the Massachusetts State Police, which was labeled as a full file system extraction of an iPhone 11 belonging to Jennifer McCabe. In the initial report prepared by Mr. Guarino, the 2:27 a.m. search for House Long to Die in Cold did not appear. Recognizing that this report was not the best evidence, I personally requested the, quote, image file for the phone in question, which I had reason to believe was produced using the Gray Key product based on the naming convention contained within the Cellbrite report. So oddly, Green is sent the file that came from the Massachusetts State Police, and of course, nothing incriminating appears in that file. But note that it was conducted using a product called Gray Key, and that's just a type of analyzer, right? And as we know from the 2 Karen retrials, that these people that do these extractions, because Apple makes it very difficult to get past their security walls, essentially companies like Cellbrite have popped up in an effort to try to get around those security measures, hack into Apple's products, and pull all of the data together in some way that makes sense. Now, all these programs do is essentially pull data. Then it all gets dumped into, X's and O's, and somebody has to make sense of it. And I'm sure that as AI gets more refined, these programs are also offering opportunities to try to make sense of the data. But from everybody's report, it's important to have a human being looking at everything that's there to try to make sense of it. And then there are layers of ways when you find an artifact or some bit of information that comes from the phone, ways to verify, what was going on with the user at the date and time in question. And that's what these analysts do. Okay. So I subsequently received a USB drive containing a forensic image of the iPhone described as J. McCabe belonging to Jennifer McCabe, which was forensically imaged by the Massachusetts State Police using a tool known as Gray Key. The USB drive containing the forensic image was sent to USF by Assistant DA Adam Lally with the Norfolk County DA's office by way of Trooper Guarino with the Massachusetts State Police. Upon receipt, the USB containing the image of Jen's phone was assigned an internal evidence number. Notably, the USB drive containing the forensic image of Jennifer McCabe's cell phone failed to include the associated documentation containing the hash value. Now, this is important, and we learned this during the trials as well. A hash file, which is a well-known mechanism used to validate the data and ensure that it has not changed or otherwise been manipulated. Man, these people are so dirty, right? Freaking Guarino, what a clown. After personally insisting that the Massachusetts State Police provide the hash value associated with this data, USF, which is his company, was eventually provided with a PDF containing the purported hash value, and the value listed within the PDF matched the Gray Key image file of the cell phone in question. Importantly, however, there is no way to verify that the hash value that he was sent was the actual original hash value. The only person who knows the original hash value would be the one who conducted the actual extraction, which, of course, in this case, was Nicholas Guarino. And this is important. After obtaining the full file system extraction of the data contained on Jennifer McCabe's iPhone, the data images were processed and reviewed with Cellbrite Physical Analyzer V761012 and Axiom Forensic VX11. All right, so these are 2 competitor companies, 2 different analyzers that Richard Green, uses to conduct the analysis of Jennifer McCabe's phone. And this is his first opinion. Okay. So just to summarize this first, these first 3 paragraphs. In typical Massachusetts State Police, Norfolk County DA's office fashion, Nicholas Guarino, who's their, cell phone tech guy and just as dirty as all the rest of them, and probably should also be fired or at least removed from his, Norfolk County DA post. Remember, Guarino very likely, very well, could have also been involved in doctoring videos. I mean, who knows? Okay. So the first thing he sends, of course, is the clean version of Jennifer McCabe's cell phone extraction. And it's just so funny. It doesn't have anything incriminating on it. Nothing deleted and no deleted phone calls either. Right. So from the file they send to the defense, the first file they send to the defense is just squeaky clean. Of course, right? Because these people are just as dirty as they get. Okay. So here's opinion number 1. It is my opinion, based on a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, that the user of Jennifer McCabe's cell phone searched house long to die in cold at or before 2:27:40 a.m. Now, here's the reason why he believes that. Now, this is important, so pay careful attention to this, because this is the part that Ian Whiffen claims is invalid, right? No, this isn't it. He has some very valid reason that he is so sure, okay? In my professional experience, an analysis of a device's internet search history often gives valuable clues as to the user's intent or knowledge surrounding an incident. I conducted a review of the search history information obtained from Jen McCabe's iPhone 11 and observed the following significant artifact from the morning in question as reported by Cellbrite. Remember this, Cellbrite's physical analyzer V761012 and Axiom Forensics V611, which were the most recent versions of the respective tools at the time I conducted my initial analysis. So these were the most recent versions of these analyzers. So the search term was house long to die in the cold. The last viewed date and time was 1/29/2022 at 2:27:40. Here's the URL that was found. The source was the Safari Suspended State tab. Remember that, because that's important. And the file state was a deleted WAL file.
Sure. So the artifact on that was called a Safari Suspended Tabs artifact. And there's a database associated with that called the Browser DB database. And in a company file, which is by the same name but ends in WAL, which stands for Write Ahead Log. And the write ahead log is where the data first gets written to, and then at certain points, that data then gets committed and written to the main database.
All right, so that, if I'm correct, that browserstate.db/wall file, that's a temporary file, right?
It's temporary by nature, but it's not, it's integral. It's part of the way the SQLite functions. So it's not like a throwaway file. It's part of the way the whole system works.
And is it helpful to you when evaluating artifacts?
Certainly, yeah. Just by nature of it, we'll find a lot of the newest artifacts in that WAL file.
Cellbrite processing. In Cellbrite Physical Analyzer V761012, the 2:27:40 a.m. house long to die in cold search not only showed up in the web history, but Cellbrite further refined the results and included it in the searched item artifact section. Not only showed up in the web history, but Cellbrite further refined the results and included it in the searched item artifact section. It was marked as a deleted record with an adjusted last viewed timestamp. Adjusted. Okay? Remember that. An adjusted last viewed timestamp of January 29th, 2022 at 2:27:40. Noticing the inconsistencies in Cellbrite's reporting between the UFED report generated by V753029 and Cellbrite's physical analyzer, I contacted Cellbrite's technical team to inquire if they could provide additional information about the artifact. Cellbrite's technical support staff, this is the company Ian Whiffen works for, indicated that they believed the artifact was reliable and that no issues have been brought to their attention. On April 22nd, 2024, the Commonwealth's expert, Ian Whiffen, emailed me stating, by the way, this is in April of 2024. On April 22nd, 2024, the Commonwealth's expert, Ian Whiffen, emailed me stating, the last viewed time shown in PA will be getting removed from the artifact in the next available version of physical analyzer. After the start of the trial in this case, in late May of 2024, Cellbrite releases its newest version of the analyzer and removes the 2:27 a.m. timestamp from its processing of the artifact. Shortly after trial on July 22nd, Cellbrite releases its newest version, which also removed the 2:27 a.m. timestamp from its processing of the artifact. And then notice this next line, and you got to love Richard Green for putting this in. Notably, Cellbrite is a company that markets itself as providing, quote, digital intelligence solutions for law enforcement, end quote, and is used by over 6,900 public safety agencies in over 100 countries worldwide. Right? So, does Ian Whiffen have a personal investment in defending the Commonwealth? What do you think? Do you think it's in Ian Whiffen's best interest to do the bidding of the Commonwealth in this case? And to be the hero that saves the day? And to be known in this high-profile case around the world as the guy who defends the Commonwealth and finds a way to make this artifact disappear? You bet he does. So then it says, although I am aware that Cellbrite recently changed its analyzer program so that it's no longer reporting on the timestamp of this particular artifact, I have not misinterpreted the data. So I want to be very clear about something here. Richard Green, conversely, comparatively to Ian Whiffen, it is actually not in his best interest to go up against Ian Whiffen and Jessica Hyde, because these two are like, big, famous people in the world of digital analyzing.
Do you know who Miss Jessica Hyde is?
I do.
Are you aware that she wrote a report in relation to this case?
Yes.
Specifically in regard to the Google searches from Ms. McCabe's phone that you were just talking about?
Yes, sir. It was very specific about that search.
And have you had a chance to review that report?
I have.
You also know who Ian Whiffen is?
Certainly, yes.
And are you aware that he wrote several reports or submitted several items in relation to, again, the exact topic that you're testifying about in relation to the Google searches on Ms. McCabe's phone?
Yes, sir. I understand that.
And have you had a chance to review those materials as well?
Yes, sir.
You understand that they both disagree with what your opinion is in relation to those searches?
I absolutely understand that, sir.
So it is not in his best interest. And if you can imagine, think of your industry, think of the people that you admire the most or that are very well-known names in your industry. Would you want to go up against them and have your opinion be directly in opposition to theirs? Right? Maybe it doesn't bode so well for you also in terms of your career, right? To go up against, to challenge those who are in a position of power, comparatively speaking. So he says, clearly, I have not misinterpreted the data, and actually points out that Ian Whiffen has a personal investment in lying or in finding a way to write this off.
I wanted to prove or to demonstrate.
Because he realizes, by his own admission, how important this Google search is to the case.
Sir, do you understand the significance? If Jen McCabe made that Google search, house long to die in the cold at 2:27:40 a.m. instead of 6:23 a.m., do you understand the significance of that?
Of course.
Sustained.
He said yes, Your Honor.
I'm sorry? I said sustained.
Oh, thank you. I didn't hear that.
Jurors, strike any answer that may have come.
Because if Jen McCabe Googles "house long to die in the cold" at 2:27 a.m. on or before on this morning, they are sunk. I mean, it sinks the people in this house 100%. And looks like Nicholas Guarino didn't think that they were going to have to worry about it. He thought he was just going to be able to erase this altogether. But certainly, that sort of gives you everything you need to know about the Massachusetts State Police and what they knew, because they very clearly found this Google search before anybody else.
Now, you're aware that Jennifer McCabe signed a consent form on February 2nd of 2022 for her cell phone to be imaged?
Yes.
And a full...
So right away, Nicholas Guarino has a visceral reaction to the changing of topics from the ways and the monetary, from the ways and the 3 clocks and all of the stuff that had come before, to Yannetti switching to the conversation of Jennifer McCabe's cell phone. Watch his reaction when he registers that they're changing topics to Jennifer McCabe's cell phone.
Can't be used for that.
Now, you're aware that Jennifer McCabe signed a consent form on February 2nd?
Did you see it? One more time for luck.
Now, you're aware that Jennifer McCabe signed a consent form on February 2nd?
Houston, I think we have a problem here. What the fuck, you guys? Shall we keep going?
Of 2022 for her cell phone to be imaged?
Yes.
And a full...
You guys, what have I told you in the past about lips like this? What is that supposed to remind us to do? Keep our mouths shut. There's some eye shielding going on. He's looking down. This guy deleted stuff off Jennifer McCabe's cell phone extraction report. I have no doubt. And it very well might be that it's Nicholas Guarino who's responsible for why it is that Ian Whiffen could mistakenly have believed that the 227 Google search didn't actually happen, because he was the one that deleted it out. It was deleted out of the report. And like a frickin' moron, didn't actually think about the fact that these experts were going to be brought in to say, there's no way this could have happened. Okay, we'll be back to Nicholas Guarino's testimony in just a bit. First, let's go back and read the rest of Green's report. And found a way to erase it, and tried not to turn it over to the defense, of course, like everything else that they just forgot about. And this is a dead police officer, so imagine how they treat just like any schmuck off the street, right? Axiom is an application product offered by Magnet Forensics, which is a competitor of Cellbrite. Best practices in digital forensics require forensic examiners to view data and artifacts with more than one tool. Therefore, I also processed the image of Jen McCabe's iPhone using Axiom version 611. Axiom version 611 reports the 220 Axiom version 611 reports that the 2:27 a.m. search artifact for House Long to Die in Cold with a last viewed time of 2:27:40 in the Safari suspended state tab section. Okay, that's important. Shortly after contacted Magnet Forensics technical support to see if additional information could be provided regarding the artifact. I was advised by technical support that the 2:27:40 timestamp indicates that the search would have occurred sometime at or before the 2:27:40 a.m. time indicated. And then there's a footnote. I would also note that Trooper Guarino reported, labeled, specifically mentions that he also used the Axiom product to process the forensic image of Jen McCabe's iPhone. Okay, so he used the same program to do the analysis. I personally tested the earlier version of Axiom, which would have been used in February of 2022, and determined that the 2:27:40 version of House Long to Die in the Cold was reported by Axiom as having a last viewed time of 2:27:40 a.m. Axiom had a similar feature to Cellbrite with the creation of a portable case. This exculpatory information was never turned over to the defense. So we know that Guarino, his report would have shown the 2:27:40 a.m. search in a deleted state. So let that one sink in for a moment. I think at this point, I've been giving the Massachusetts State Police kind of the benefit of the doubt because they're just so stupid. Like, we're talking about Michael Proctor and Trooper Paul. I mean, these people are just so fundamentally incompetent, not to mention Michael Morrissey himself. But the more you look at this case, the more you realize that even the most incompetent among us would not have been able to be this incompetent, as if to miss the 2:27:40 a.m. Google search, right? And what do you think the first thing that Guarino does when he finds this search? Who do you think he brings this to first? Who do you think the first officer is that gets notified about this Google search? So ask yourself that question. I have my own ideas about who that may have been. Since my initial analysis, USF has upgraded to the more advanced Axiom Cyber Physical Analyzer, which was released on December 17th, 2024. Now, what we know about this field is that they're constantly updating and have to stay current because the field is growing so rapidly, the technology is growing so quickly that you just kind of have to constantly be educating yourself as to the new and greatest and best, right? This version of Axiom continues to report the above artifact with an even more precise last viewed date and time of 1/29/22 at 2:27:40, 4:65 a.m. in the Safari's suspended state tab marked as deleted. Moreover, Axiom's user manual describes this artifact as follows. Safari's suspended state tabs, last interaction, date, and time as the date and time of the current tab's state when it was last interacted with on the local device.
So we're looking at here web-related history, and also I have the filter turned on for application usage because there's some log files, sort files that the iPhone keeps track of to record user interactions, and that can give us an idea of the history as well. And then, as I mentioned, we have it filtered so that it's only showing dates, that dates existed, and we took the earliest possible date to a date way in the future. And then it's listed, and next to the date and time, you'll see a little arrow, and it's skinny at the top and big at the bottom. That tells you it's going from smallest, earliest time to latest time. And this particular view is showing us the last of that series, because what's relevant and really important here is that the Safari suspended state tabs ends up being the last of the entries related to that, not one of the beginning of the entries related to that.
And what is the significance of the Safari state tab being the last entry? What does that tell you?
Yeah, well, so it tells us the internet history happened before that, and the purpose of this tab on at least this particular iPhone with this very specific iOS version is to record the state of that tab when the user left that. And the whole purpose of that is, if you're on Safari, you're on a website, and say you have to take a phone call or answer a text message, and you navigate away from the Safari app, when you come back, it remembers where you were and allows you to pick off from there. It also allows you to hit the tab button and see what other tabs you might have open and navigate to one of those tabs.
This date and time will reflect when the user has last interacted with this tab in Safari, or if the tab auto-refreshed on the local device only. In order to validate this timestamp, I looked at numerous examples of web sessions on Jennifer McCabe's device, including URLs containing Raining Men, CantonMA.org, Hockomock Sports, and Eastern Bank. This is important. In all of these instances, the browser state DB entry appears at the end of the session. Okay, at the end of the session. This is consistent with how Magnet describes this artifact. Now, importantly, when Ian Whiffen does his little show and tell in court to try to explain to all of us morons, just how smart he is, he uses a different version of the iOS software than the one that's on Jen McCabe's phone.
And so what you're trying to demonstrate to the jury is identifying a time on one of these tabs where a particular search was made.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained as to whom?
Could you explain this demonstration as it relates to tabs on these internet searches? What are we actually trying to learn?
So as I showed, there's a field in this table called timestamp. It's actually called last viewed timestamp. I wanted to prove or to demonstrate what that timestamp means. I wanted to prove or to demonstrate what that timestamp means, how that timestamp gets populated, and how it's relevant or irrelevant to a case.
So if I have one of many tabs open on my phone, each tab will have its own timestamp?
Correct.
And the URL, that's whatever I look up, what I search on the search engine?
Is that what's in that?
That's correct. The URL is the address of the page that's being viewed.
Now, he tells us he's doing that because he doesn't trust that we're smart enough to understand his explanation with the iOS software version that Jennifer McCabe actually has on her phone. Okay. So instead, he starts out showing us a different version of the phone. And I ask you, do you buy that? And so what I would do is I would ignore that entire demonstration completely and just go right to the example that he's trying to give us with Jennifer McCabe's actual phone, because that's a smokescreen. It's to confuse us, right? It's to try to make us look over here and look away from what we really should be looking at, which is the issue in question. In all of these instances, the browser state DB entry appears at the end of the session. This is consistent with how Magnet describes this artifact. So what is he saying? He's saying that when you actually pull up a window on your phone, so when you actually pull up a Safari window on your phone, if you're anything like me, you might have a lot of different windows that you have not closed out, right? So let's say that I pick one and I look at it, and then I decide to go to a different window. No, I want to leave that one open because I want to look at that later. So I pull up a different window. No, I'm probably going to use that again. So instead of closing that out, I'll just leave it there so that it's easier for me to pull up again when I need it, right? Oh, that's my laundry card. So I'll keep that one there so I can access it more easily. Just a shortcut. Oh, I know. I haven't used this browser in a while, and certainly I don't need to be reminded about the Jets' sixth loss of the season. So I'll go into that and create a new search. So that's a reason why you might, because everyone's been asking, right? People that defend the Google search say, oh, yeah, right. She was just looking up high school sports scores and then also just happened to Google how long to die in the cold. Well, no. She could have very easily done what I just did. Opened something up, said, nope, I want to keep that. Gone to something else, said, nope, I want to keep that. And then decided to use a tab that was already there to override it with something else. Because what Green is telling you is that the last viewed timestamp is at the end of when you are done using a Safari browser tab. So whether it's because you minimize that tab and bring something else onto the screen or close it out altogether, wherever you left it last is what that timestamp is telling us. Now, Ian Whiffen is trying to say that no, it's not at the end, it's at the beginning of the next time that you pull that up and then use it. That's how it gets written. And that is not what happened with Raining Men, CantonMA.org, Hockomock Sports, and Eastern Bank. In all of these instances, the browser state DB entry appears at the end of the session. The problem that Ian Whiffen has in this case is that the second two Google searches at 623 and 624 did not use the same browser tab as the 227 Google search, though he is trying to claim that exact thing. That is not what Richard Green found. But is it possible that somebody tried to erase from the record, from the actual Cellbrite report, that tab history, so that when Ian Whiffen went in to try to find it, he didn't see it. He didn't see that browser history, the history for that specific tab. The only way you would find it is if you actually were searching for very specific words, which is what Richard Green was doing. Very specific search terms. So, this is me reminding you to like this video, like the video, comment, subscribe, like this video. In order to confirm the accuracy of this search event as reported in Cellbrite Physical Analyzer, And consistently throughout multiple versions of Axiom, I then independently performed a low-level analysis of the artifact, which was located in the browser state db.wall in the write-ahead log. The write-ahead files are temporary in nature and show the location where data is written before commitments to the main database are made. Okay. The particulars of this artifact are as follows. Okay, so then it gives us the location, the database record number, the time, the raw time, then the conversion time, and then the adjustment to the time that we're looking for, which in this case is Eastern Standard. So when he actually analyzed this artifact, the 2:27 a.m. Google search, a write-ahead log, a temporary file showed up showing the same thing, showing the exact same time. Saturday, January 29, 2022 at 2:27 a.m. And it had been deleted. I used 3 additional forensic tools to conduct a low-level analysis of the artifact in question, including Belkasoft X, Sanderson Forensic Browser, and ArtX2, a research-based program created by the Commonwealth's expert Ian Whiffen, which only has 600 users worldwide. He actually uses Ian Whiffen's program and finds it, verifies the search. All 3 of these programs show data consistent with the search for How Long to Die in the Cold with a last viewed time field of 2:27:40, being found on record 4028. All times listed have been converted to Canton, Mass, unless otherwise noted. Thus, I was able to independently verify using additional forensic tools that the last viewed time, date, and fact of the search was accurate. It is my opinion, based on a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, that the user of Jennifer McCabe's cell phone searched How Long to Die in the Cold at or before 2:27:40. I have also consistently reported the existence of 2 additional search artifacts found on the forensic image of Jennifer McCabe's iPhone, which suggests that the user of Jen McCabe's phone made 2 additional similar searches later that morning.
Is it possible that the search for How Long to Die in the Cold at 6:24 a.m. was the most recent search completed in the tab?
Oh, well, not in that tab, but I certainly agree with you that there was a second search done at around that time.
Is it possible that the URL field, which has the website name, was updated to the newest search while the timestamp retained the original search? Is that possible?
No, not the way on this particular phone in this particular iOS, and also with the user interacted with it, that it would have been at the 2:27 or before. The way this very specific iOS was happening, that is consistent with all the other ones that I observed out there on the phone related to specific web searches and activity.
Is it possible that the search for How Long to Die in the Cold at 6:24 a.m. was the most recent search completed in the tab?
Oh, well, not in that tab, but I certainly agree with you that there was a second search done at around that time.
Now, is it also possible that the search that you assert took place at 2:27 and 40 seconds in the morning is the same as the search that took place at 6:24:51 a.m. for that same search?
Yeah, that's inconsistent with the actual data I'm seeing on this actual phone with this precise iOS version.
So not only is the search that we're talking about independently verified, but there are 2 additional searches. So the time that Jennifer McCabe is talking about is found, right? So, right, because this argument that, oh, no, that was the 623 search. Somehow the 2:27 search that you found is also the second search that I did that also showed up, where the spelling, by the way, is wrong, right? The spelling is different. So she gets the spelling wrong, must have realized she got the spelling wrong, and then tried again with the same spelling to make sure that the spelling was the same as the first time. Opinion number 2. It is my opinion, based on a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, that the 2:27:40 a.m. search artifact for House Long to Die in Cold was deleted by either deliberate user interaction or manual post-imaging manipulation of the data by some unknown individual. So either Jennifer McCabe deletes that search, or maybe the Commonwealth deletes that search. It's unbelievable.
Forensic extraction was performed on that phone sometime shortly after February 2nd of 2022.
Look at him. Look at
I
him.
don't remember the exact date.
Look at him biting his cheek. And now watch as he does everything he can to evade every question Yannetti throws his way. This guy is guilty. And if I'm the feds, this is the guy that I question first.
Sometime shortly after February 2nd of 2022.
I don't remember the exact date. I didn't download her phone.
But in any case, you generated a Cellbrite full file system extraction report on May 31st of 2022, correct?
So now, even though his name is all over this, all over the reports, he's the guy, right? He's the cell phone guy. He just got done for the last hour and a half, for the last, I don't know how much time collectively before this moment, he had been on the stand already talking about how he's the guy at the DA's office who does all the cell phone stuff. He's been in training all along, blah, 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 blah. Now, I don't know. I didn't do it. It wasn't me. I didn't do the extraction on her phone. This is wild.
Cellbrite full file. Cellbrite full file system extraction report on May 31st of 2022, correct?
Yes.
And you were aware that that Cellbrite report was the one that Cellbrite report was the one that was.
You watching this? This guy is jumping out of his skin right now.
Turned over to the defense in this case. Correct?
That is correct.
But you'd agree with me that that extraction report didn't contain anything close to the full file system, despite the name on it, correct?
It did.
Well, that report was filtered.
It did.
Well, that report was filtered.
Did you notice that? He went like this and then said, I did. This guy is so guilty.
Me that extraction report didn't contain anything close to the full file system, despite the name on it, correct?
It did.
Well, that report was filtered to return only Jen McCabe's communications with Karen Reed, Kerry Roberts, John O'Keefe, and Kaylee Furbish, correct?
That is not correct.
Did Michael Proctor instruct?
So that is not correct. So that is an uncontracted denial. And without boring you with all of the baselining, because it's just so boring listening to him and Adam Lally go back and forth about all of his credentials, but you can go back yourself and find out he uses contractions the whole way through. This is a lie. That's exactly what he did.
You to pull only those communications?
Objection.
You didn't seek to obtain any of Jennifer McCabe's communications with her sister, Nicole Albert, did you?
I didn't go through, like I said, didn't go through Jen McCabe's.
Wow. Wow. That is so sensitive, you guys. He is freaking out. He's stumbling over himself. He does not know how to answer this, despite probably rehearsing forever on this topic.
And you didn't seek to obtain any of her communications with her daughter, Allie Albert, did you? I'm sorry, Allie McCabe.
Objection. May we approach?
Look at him looking for objections, looking to Lally to object. This is wild. This is wild. Can't wait till we get those sidebars.
You would agree with me that the full forensic image of Jennifer McCabe's phone was not shared with the defense until it was requested by us in October of 2022, sir?
That is not true.
When you wrote your report on April 24th of 2023,
that is not true. That's uncontracted. Probably not true. Probably a lie.
In response to an affidavit provided by Rick Green, the defense forensic computer expert, it was in that report that you finally disclosed for the first time the existence of 3 Google searches by Jennifer McCabe, correct?
Objection.
All right, to ask that differently.
Prior to April 24th of 2023, you had not reported in any formal manner with anything that was shared with the defense about the existence of 3 Google searches by Jennifer McCabe, correct?
I never looked at Jennifer McCabe's phone.
Wow. I never looked at Jennifer McCabe's phone. Let's listen to that question again.
Prior to April 24th of 2023, you had not reported in any formal manner with anything that was shared with the defense about the existence of 3 Google searches by Jennifer McCabe, correct?
I never looked at Jennifer McCabe's phone.
Wow. So first, that's an evasion. He does not actually answer the question. He says, I never looked at Jennifer McCabe's phone. Number 2, that's a never. And anytime you hear never, unless the question includes, did you ever, it is highly suspect. That's 2 indicators. This guy, I'm telling you, is lying. He's the one who deleted stuff off of Jennifer McCabe's Cellbrite report. It was this guy. I am absolutely sure of it.
And so was there anybody else from your unit or anybody else that you worked on that provided that material to us?
Not that I know of.
All right. Page.
Not that I know of. Once again, that's a completely indirect answer. Not that I know of. Not saying yes, not saying no.
If I may just a moment. Your Honor, we don't have a printout, but I have it on a...
So don't approach the witness with that? Okay, show it to Mr. Lally first.
Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. What a piece of garbage this guy is.
So I'm going to see if I can place this before you without destroying the computer.
Yep.
Sorry, sir. You take a moment to familiarize yourself with that. Do you understand, or can you tell the jury what that is?
Yep. This is you could put in a PDF. This isn't one I gave to you. This is a PDF version of the UFED reader report that I gave. So I gave a portable Cellbrite version to you. This is a copy of it, and I will not testify that anything in this is correct. Because this could...
Right, of course. See, he can't testify to anything that's in this report, even though it has his name on it. It's his report. But because it's in a PDF version of the report, he can't testify to anything on it.
Been filtered.
But your name is on there, is it not, sir?
Yes, it is.
All right. And what's the date?
May 31st, 2022.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. You'd agree with me with regard to that April 24th.
Once again, look at his face. Look at his lips. Wow. I'm stunned, you guys. I did not expect this. I went into this entire video, went into this investigation thinking that we were going to be looking at Ian Whiffen. And now I am with 100% certainty convinced that this guy, this is the problem. That the reason why the Commonwealth went and found an Ian Whiffen and he's able to look himself in the mirror and say, oh, I'm defending Jennifer McCabe's Google searches because they went in and deleted a bunch from the report. Of course, like they always do, right? Because they overshoot the mark. And then they wind up creating a situation where everyone's, scratching their head going, well, how could that have happened? That defies the laws of physics. That defies everything we know about how cell phones and iOS systems operate. So how could that be? Well, if you're a Cellbrite guy, this is your job, and you go in after the fact and you start deleting artifacts, that's how we end up with two Cellbrite experts reading the information in a completely different way. And how do we know? Because as Richard Green points out, the exact same pattern of interaction was present for all of those suspended state addresses, Safari addresses, that she visited in that span at or before 2:27 a.m. This guy is the reason. And it's funny, it never really crossed my mind for more than a second that maybe Guarino was responsible for why the Cellbrite information wasn't accurate or why something was off. But man, the way that he is reacting to this line of questioning, there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that this guy is being deceptive, soup to nuts. And that means, ladies and gentlemen, that the Massachusetts State Police knew that Jennifer McCabe Googled "house long to die in the cold" that night, which means they knew Karen Read was innocent.
2023 report, on page 2, you state, quote, "In my initial Cellbrite UFED reader report," and then you put version 7.53.0.29, "that was created on May 4th of 2022, the search history for Jennifer McCabe's phone had 2 Google searches in Safari, correct?"
Yes.
And you list out how long TI die in CIKD at 6:23:51 and Hoslong to die in cold at 6:24:37, correct?
That is correct.
And by the way, with regard to the timing of those 2 particular searches,
he is freaking out, you guys. He's freaking out.
You are aware, are you not, that Jennifer McCabe placed a call to Brian Albert at 6:23:0?
I don't have it in front of me. I don't.
I don't know. Where am I? Right? This is what they do. Just, I'm incompetent. I don't even know what day and time it is anymore. I'm sorry. Where are we again? And then he shows up like drugged out on painkillers for the second trial. This guy is weak stomached, right? The reason why he is so transparent is because he can't handle this. Maybe you should get into a different line of work, or I don't know, get out of this corrupt Norfolk County DA's office, because you don't have the stomach for this, dear. This is not your calling. You are a horrific liar, and you should never. You know what? These people deserve every bad thing that comes to them for what they've done here. Every bad thing that comes to them.
can I approach you on?
Yes.
Thanks.
All right, sir, I placed before you a document. Could you familiarize yourself with that and then tell the jury if you recognize what it depicts?
I have a call log that says 20888 with no name at 6:23. That's incomplete because there should be 3 other records accounting for this call.
Right. I can't testify to this because there should be 3 other records. Like, I don't know what this is. Sorry, I can't help you here. This is just evasion, like classic textbook evasion.
Okay, but that record itself reflects a call from Jennifer McCabe's phone at 6:23 and 0 seconds.
I don't know. There's no number on here, so I can't tell. It just says
I don't know.
It's a call log with one call that's not answered at 6:23 in the morning with doesn't say who it's from or who it's going to.
You don't think that he knows who Jen called at the same time as the Google search? Because that's what this is, in case you missed it.
Okay.
Are you telling me you don't remember what Google search you put in?
Karen was screaming. My hands were shaking, and she was saying, Google hypothermia, how long does it take to die in the cold?
And what phrase did you put in your phone? I'm just asking you to say it.
Why don't you show me it?
You literally don't remember?
Again, she was screaming, Google hypothermia, how long does it take to die in the cold?
How about?
And I picked up my phone and I started Googling.
And you literally, to this day, right now, under oath, you're saying you don't remember that phrase that you used.
Objection.
And you're aware, Ms. McCabe, that both misspellings of that phrase result in the exact same search results, don't they?
I'm not aware of that, no.
Well, you Googled them, ma'am. You're looking on your phone and you Googled it. How long to die in cold and how long to die in CIKD. Both of those. You Googled them, right?
I did, yes.
And they result in the exact same search results, don't they?
I have no idea.
So my question to you is, why the two searches?
She was standing next to me, screaming, shaking my hand. My hand was cold. I was trying to Google it. Obviously, maybe whatever came up first didn't make sense because I had some misspellings, so I did it again.
So how long to die in cold results in articles concerning dying of exposure, doesn't it?
We never got the chance to read it.
Well, you're the one, when you say we, who's we?
Yes, Jen, who is we?
We never got the chance to read it. But this is what's important here. This use of the word we. She does not see Karen Reed as a friend. So for her to say the word we here, this is wildly and crazily out of place. In my mind, this is just screaming there's not just deception, but there's a big problem here that needs to be looked at. My note here is that she wasn't with Karen when this happened. And you see, even Mr. Jackson picks up on this. He says, well, you're the one who's, wait, when you say we, who's we? Because it even stands out to him. So I don't think she was with Karen here. If I had any say in any of this, I would go back and review the GPS from everyone's phones. I would look at pictures, videos, and try to determine who Jennifer McCabe was actually standing next to at 6:23, 6:24 a.m. She is working with somebody to try and fix the mistake on her part of Googling at 2:27 in the morning how long it takes to die from exposure. Someone is standing next to her right here trying to help her cover that up.
There's Jennifer McCabe controlling the narrative. At 6:23 a.m., look at where Jennifer McCabe is and what she is doing. She calls Brian Albert. Just a coincidence.
It also was incomplete because there should be two other records with this. This is from the call history stored data wall, marked as deleted.
It's marked as deleted. Does it give a duration?
Marked as deleted. So you know what happened here. Wow. So Nicholas Guarino, in his brilliance, thinks that he deleted these artifacts from the report, but probably either didn't know about the wall files or, didn't know how to delete them. And here, what is he doing? Oh, he's evading. I don't know. I didn't look at Jen's report. Well, your name is on it, sir. Well, then if you didn't look at it, who did? Oh, I don't know. I don't know who did. Wasn't me. Okay.
It just says duration 0 seconds.
Okay, and does
it just, remember, we flagged the word just. It just says, I don't know.
Reflect that it was unanswered?
It does.
Okay. May I have that mark for identification, please?
Okay. Thank you.
Did you investigate whether a call was placed from Jennifer McCabe to Brian Albert at 6:23 in the morning in 0 seconds?
I didn't look at any specific calls that morning. I created a Cellbrite report. That's about it.
Did you eat?
I didn't look at any of the calls. I created a Cellbrite report. That's about it. Okay. Underline about. That's about it. Which means that's not all I did. So he may not have looked at the cell phone calls that morning. At that time, by the way. At the time that he created the Cellbrite report, he may not have looked at the calls. But this is deceiving because he's saying that's about it.
Did you ask either Ian Whiffen or Jessica Hyde to look into that issue?
Objection.
Sustained.
You would agree with me that that call and the record of that deletion of that call is nowhere in your April 24th report, correct?
Big breath there, right? Big breath there.
Me that that call and the record of that deletion of that call is nowhere in your April 24th report, correct?
I believe it's in my May 9th report.
All right, but I asked you about your April 24th report, sir?
I believe it's in the May 9th report. You know, the one that occurred after I learned about the defense's expert who was going to throw me under the bus.
I didn't address anything regarding phone calls in my April 24th report. I didn't address anything regarding phone calls in my April 24th report.
All right, now going back to when you began your examination around May 4th of 2022, you were looking for information on, did you look on Jennifer McCabe's phone back in May 4th of 2022?
Did I physically open the phone or did it?
Did you review the data?
Okay, again, this is evading the question.
At all?
I'm confused, on the cell phone itself or from the report?
Either way.
No, her phone was returned to her and then we had the extraction. I did not utilize the extraction at all.
Wow. This is a lie. I did not, uncontracted, look at his body language. He doesn't want to see what Yannetti's reaction to his response to this question is going to be.
You never included the two searches that we discussed.
Yeah, you look at the look on his face, look at how concerned he looks, right? Now, if you had seen the rest of this, which I encourage you to go back and look at, it's long. He's on the stand for a while. You know, there's moments where he's really cocky and like laughing and kind of jokey. And that is not what we're seeing here now.
How long TI die in CIKD and how long to die in cold in the full file system extraction that was turned over to the defense, did you?
They were included.
They were not included.
Well, page 6 of your April 24th, 2023 report goes on to state that when you switch to a new version of Cellbrite, and
sorry, that
dropped out.
Yeah, it was that.
He's a little jumpy, you might notice. Oh my God. So he's trying to blame it. Now, I want you to remember that Richard Green notes in his report that original report that was turned over to the defense that did not say anything about any of this, any Google searches, any deleted phone calls, was the Axiom software that he went back and also did an analysis of to determine whether this is true, whether what Nicholas Guarino is telling us is true, that it didn't come up on the first software version that they used, because that's what he's trying to claim. Oh, it wasn't until we used the upgraded software version that we saw these deleted, pieces in these Google searches. And that is absolutely a lie. This has like a Tristan Morris feeling, right? Like, I don't know. Like, that's what this feels like to me. This guy is like seconds away from completely unraveling, and he somehow gets out of having to go through this again because he shows up like an injured, he shows up like almost in a body cast for the second trial, right? Like, please, God, don't make me testify about this again.
Page 6 of your April 24th, 2023 report says that when you switched to a new version of Cellbrite Physical Analyzer, which was version 7.61.0.12, you found an artifact from the browser state DB wall file for a Google search of Hoslong to dying cold at 2:27 and 40 seconds, correct?
Yes.
Trooper, I'm placing before you what has been marked as Exhibit 99. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what is that?
It's the searches that were done at 6:23 regarding the misspelled how long to die in the cold.
Okay, and it's actually Hoslong to dying cold,
yes.
Right? HOS?
Yep.
Note his voice is wavering a little there. Let's go back and listen to that. I'm just going to slow it down so you can hear it. His voice wavers a little as he's nervous.
And what is that?
It's the searches that were done at 6:23 regarding the misspelled how long to die in the cold.
Okay.
Regarding, right? He's nervous.
And it's actually Hoslong to dying cold,
yes.
Right? HOS?
Yep. That
was marked by Cellbrite as deleted, was it not?
Yes.
All right. And your April 24th, 2023 report goes on to mention 2 deleted calls to Jen McCabe's sister, Nicole, who was saved as Coco in her phone, correct?
I'd have to see it, but I believe so.
Okay. May I approach?
Yes.
Showing you what's been marked Y for identification.
Right. So, I mean, he knows that it is. He's just playing games, right? I don't know. I didn't see anything. I don't know.
If you'd familiarize yourself with that and look up at me when you're done.
Okay.
Does that show the 2 deleted calls to Jen McCabe's sister, Nicole, who was saved as Coco in her phone?
I don't know who it's coming from, but it does say it's going to Coco, and then, again, coming from wall files, correct.
All right. And your report doesn't mention it, but what was the duration of those 2 calls according to that log?
On this sheet here, it says 9 seconds for the first one and then 7 seconds for the other.
All right. And those calls, both of them, which actually had durations, were marked answered by Cellbrite, correct?
Yes.
Trooper, with regard to what is displayed on the screen now, is that consistent with what I had just handed to you?
Yes, it is.
All right. And with regard to the first entry there, you had stated that it doesn't say...
Now, interestingly, I wonder what Jennifer McCabe says about these calls.
You said it doesn't say who was making the call. Was that your testimony?
Yes, it just says right here.
Yep.
2. I'm guessing that's the last 4 of the number, since the rest is blurred, and then, yeah, that's it.
Okay, and you know that 0204 last 4 digits, that is to somebody who was listed as Coco in the phone, correct?
I don't know any of these phone numbers or people.
But you previously testified these 2 calls were to somebody who was named Coco in the phone.
Oh, yeah, from the sheet you gave me that shows it.
Okay.
I don't know any of these people. I don't know anything about any of this.
And the time of the first call was 6:07:42, is that right?
That's correct.
And you testified that that's the one that had the duration of 9 seconds?
Yes.
Listed as answered?
Correct.
And deleted, correct?
Yes and no, and I can explain if you'd like.
It's listed as deleted, is it not?
There's a reason why.
Is it listed as deleted?
It is, but there's a reason why.
With regard to the second call, that appears to be to the same number, or at least the same last 4 digits.
Yes.
And in the sheet in front of you, that's also to Coco, correct?
Yes.
And that has a timestamp of 6:08 and 17 seconds, correct?
That is correct.
That also has a duration, and that's of 7 seconds?
Yes.
Also listed as answered?
Yes.
And also marked deleted, correct?
Yes, and there's a reason.
And are you aware that Ms. McCabe made other calls that morning which were in fact marked unanswered by Cellbrite?
Again, I'd have to see what you're referring to.
So as you testified to here today, you have no memory as to whether or not she made a number of other calls that were marked deleted, sir?
There are a number of calls that morning. I have not memorized all of them.
You know, you have to wonder, like, the O'Keefe family sat in the courtroom and listened to this twice. Right? Not one shred of curiosity about why Jennifer McCabe would have deleted these calls, or why Jennifer McCabe would have called her sister twice right at the moment where she says she doesn't call, and that those calls were answered when allegedly the people inside the house who she's calling were asleep, dead ass asleep. They didn't wake up. They didn't hear anything at 6:07. No curiosity whatsoever. Nope, not curious.
Your Honor, if I may approach and show something that's on a computer screen.
Just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Thank you. Got it.
Okay. I've placed before you what appears to be a PDF document on a computer screen. If you familiarize yourself with it and look up at me when you're done.
Okay.
What does that appear to be, sir?
An incomplete PDF of the call logs from whoever's call log this is.
Okay. And
right.
Do you see?
He doesn't know. What do I know? I don't know anything about any of this.
In that PDF that there were a number of calls that were marked unanswered by Cellbrite?
Again, I can't testify to any of this because I can't confirm that where this data came from. There's no source file. This is it's incomplete.
Now, I just want to remind you, this is coming from the same person who didn't give the hash values to the defense when he sent his Cellbrite extraction to them, right? So the very guy who's now saying, I can't confirm or deny any of this because I don't see any of the source code information, is the same guy who had the audacity to send information to the defense without those verifying details. And neither Ian Whiffen or Jessica Hyde got those either.
About the existence of 3 Google searches by Jennifer McCabe, correct?
I never looked at Jennifer McCabe's phone.
And so was there anybody else from your unit or anybody else that you worked on that provided that material to us?
Not that I know of. As I said, I was the only one that created any Cellbrite related reports in this case.
Well, then it looks like we have our guy. Wouldn't you know it? Opinion number 2. It is my opinion, based on a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, that the 2:27:40 a.m. search artifact for How Long to Die in Cold was deleted by either deliberate user interaction or manual post-imaging manipulation of the data by some unknown individual. So either Jennifer McCabe deletes that search, or maybe the Commonwealth deletes that search. It is uncontested. Even Ian Whiffen doesn't try to argue that he understands why it's deleted. Okay? It is uncontested that the 12922 22740 search artifact for How Long to Die in Cold found in record 4028 is in a deleted state. Databases contain tables with numerous fields, and in some cases, there is a program field entry to indicate whether a record is alive or deleted. With regard to the browser state DB, which is the database at issue here, there is no such field to indicate whether a particular record is live or deleted. However, based on the characteristics of the data contained within the associated write-ahead log, the forensic tools indicate that the 22740 How Long to Die in Cold search found in record 4028 is in a deleted state. There are several reasons why data may appear to be in a deleted state, which include a deliberate user interaction, an automated function of the operating system, a system, application, or operating system update, a malfunction of the operating system or hardware, or manual post-imaging manipulation of the data itself. I address each of these potential scenarios in turn. A. Manual post-imaging manipulation of the data. Typically, data collections have an associated hash value, which is unique to that set of data. The hash value is created using an algorithm and is a well-known mechanism used to validate the data and ensure that it has not changed or otherwise been manipulated. In this case, USF was originally supplied with a forensic image of Jennifer McCabe's cell phone, which was created with a tool known as Gray Key from Assistant DA Adam Lally with the Norfolk County DA's office by way of Trooper Guarino with the Massachusetts State Police. However, and remarkably, the associated documentation containing the hash value needed to validate the image was not provided. I mean, it's like, these people, can you even believe they made an effort not to provide the hash value? Like, it's like, this was incredibly unusual. In all of my years working as a forensic examiner, this is the first time I have ever received a forensic image of a phone without the corresponding hash value. Let that one sit. After personally insisting that the Massachusetts State Police provide the hash value associated with this data, USF was eventually provided with a PDF containing the purported hash value, and the value listed within the PDF matched the Gray Key image file of the cell phone in question. However, as Mr. Whiffen acknowledged in his report, the Cellbrite program cannot validate the data because the value is unsigned. In other words, the Gray Key image of Jennifer McCabe's cell phone could have been manipulated. Could have been manipulated, then rehashed after the manipulation and still show the same resulting hash value included in the PDF file. So there's no way to know at this point whether the Massachusetts State Police actually initially had a different hash value. Would it surprise anybody if it was them that deleted the file somehow? Typically, forensics examiners are provided with the raw image file and the associated hash value documentation together. After validating the hash value, I would then accept that the data had not been manipulated. Here, however, the hash documentation was not provided with the raw image of the cell phone. Instead, it was withheld from the defense. As a forensic examiner, having received hundreds of image phones over the course of my decades-long career, this was unprecedented. It just shows you how much information we are not given at trial, right? Because this just does not stand out from the trial at all. We didn't even get to hear from Richard Green. And Bob Alessi does talk about the hash values, but it's never quite clear that the Massachusetts State Police are the ones that could have messed with the hash value, that could have withheld the original analysis from the defense. That's never brought up at trial, not on either trial, not at either trial. In addition to law enforcement's failure to initially provide the hash documentation associated with the raw image of Jennifer McCabe's cell phone, there were additional anomalies within the processed data that are suggestive of manipulation as reported by tools such as Cellbrite and Axiom. These anomalies, discussed in further detail below, along with other anomalies in this case, including law enforcement's failure to properly document the chain of custody of items of evidence, inconsistencies in official reports and testimony regarding the collection of evidence, law enforcement's failure to properly photograph and document the evidence, and the destruction of other crucial electronic data are all suggestive of post-imaging manipulation. Unbelievable. Malfunction of the operating system or hardware. In my experience, iPhone hardware and the iOS operating system are very reliable. In this case, there is no data or evidence to suggest that a malfunction of the operating system or hardware caused the deleted record, which Ian Whiffen also contends. The structure of databases can change from version to version of the iOS system or associated applications. Upon analyzing Jen McCabe's cell phone, I was able to determine that the iOS on this device was updated to version 15.2.1 on January 24th, 2022. This update occurred before the record in question was generated on January 29th, 2022, and would have not have caused a deletion. The artifact in question is found in a write-ahead log. The data is written to the temporary write-ahead log in order to aid in the speed and ensure data integrity. You can think of this as a database. You can think of this database as being a series of Excel spreadsheets where the data is structured into fields, rows, and columns, and the wall file as a notepad text document where you are quickly adding data that you intend to eventually write into the Excel spreadsheet. The mechanism for writing the data from a temporary wall file to the associated database is called a checkpoint. Here, with regard to the 22740 House Long to Die in Cold wall file at issue, the data establishes that the last checkpoint occurred on 1/28/22 at 7:39:03 a.m. Therefore, the deleted state of the 428 record is not a function of the wall file being written to the database because the last checkpoint occurred the day before on January 28th. I am aware of no internal mechanism for spontaneous record deletion. Mr. Whiffen similarly concedes in his report that he is unaware of any internal mechanisms for record deletion. As stated above, there is no internal field within the browser state DB database to indicate whether the artifact in question was user deleted. No such field exists in the browser state DB database. However, as explained in further detail below, additional anomalies found on the phone strongly suggest that this data was either the result of a deliberate user interaction or post-imaging manipulation. So either Jennifer McCabe or Matt McCabe delete the file, or the cops did. Unbelievable. My forensic analysis of the image of Jennifer McCabe's cell phone uncovered numerous anomalies or unusual deviation from what is standard, normal, or expected in a typical case. The following anomalies further support that the artifact in question was deleted, either through user interaction or through post-imaging manipulation. Anomaly 1. The most up-to-date version of Cellbrite Physical Analyzer reports 4,560 searches, with only one being marked as deleted. The only search marked as deleted in the most up-to-date version of the Cellbrite Physical Analyzer is the House Long to Die in Cold search found in browser state database record 428. This strongly suggests that this search was targeted for deletion. Anomaly number 2. The tab ID record 428 is a very long sequence of numbers and letters. This number is unique to the tab in question and would have been used for all URL history in that specific tab within this particular database. This is crazy. Look at this. The Commonwealth has claimed that the actual website being visited during this period was Hockomock Sports. However, the tab ID recorded at 22736 associated with Hockomock Sports web activity as a different tab ID. Unbelievable. Thus, the records in question clearly established that the Hockomock Sports activity was conducted in a completely different tab than the search for How Long to Die in Cold, which also showed activity at 2:27 a.m. just seconds later. So there you have it. Anomaly 3. The Commonwealth's experts, Ms. Hyde and Mr. Whiffen, opine that the 4028 record with the 22740 timestamp initially would not have been associated with the How Long to Die in Cold search. I have examined the multiple rights of the 4028 record contained within the browser DB WAL file, and in all instances, the URL containing the How Long to Die in Cold was present. I see no evidence of 4028 record containing a different or blank for that field. The search artifacts associated with How Long to Die in Cold, How Long TI Die in CIKD, and How Long to Die in Cold are all missing information that would be expected in the history of DB file. Wow. The search artifacts associated with How Long to Die in the Cold, How Long TI Die in CIKD, and How Long to Die in Cold at 624 are all missing information that would be expected in the history DB file. That's interesting. So they were all potentially attempted to be deleted? Mr. Whiffen opines that the load was likely never successful. As it was never populated in the history DB database. However, the Google suggestion artifact for How Long to Digest Food appears at 6:23:49 a.m. along with a picture. This indicates that the cell phone in question had internet connectivity at the time of the 6:24 a.m. search, which contradicts Mr. Whiffen's speculative suggestion that the load did not complete. Anomaly 6. The knowledge C information for the How Long to Die in Cold search appears to be out of order. Knowledge C artifacts typically run a few seconds after the event in question. For example, the PLIS time for How Long TI Die in CIKD recorded at 6:23:51 a.m. has a corresponding knowledge C time entry of 6:23:57, 6 seconds later. Typically, the knowledge C artifact appears seconds after the PLIST entry. However, the 6:24:18 a.m. PLIST entry for How Long to Die in Cold is followed by a knowledge C time of 6:24:24, 6 seconds later, for How Long TI Die in CIKD. The corresponding knowledge C entry for How Long to Die in Cold does not show up until hours later at 10:33:35. This is unusual and deviates from what is typically observed. Oh, that's interesting. Typically, the knowledge C artifact appears seconds after the PLIST entry. However, the 6:24:18 a.m. PLIST entry for How Long to Die in Cold is followed by a knowledge C time of 6:24:24 a.m. 6 seconds later. For house long TI die in CIKD, the corresponding knowledge C entry for house long to die in cold does not show up until hours later. I'm not sure what this means. I don't know what this means. So if you do, let me know. Anomaly 7. Trooper Nicholas Guarino's April 24, 2023 report shows that he took custody of the phone on 2/22 on 2/2/22 at 12:08 p.m. However, the gray key log indicates that the device was not accessed for imaging until 2 hours later. Okay. The report also indicates he was given the password to the phone. Nowhere within the report does it explain the time delay between receiving the device and imaging the device. Okay. It is my opinion, based on a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, that the 22740 search artifact for house long to die in cold was deleted by either deliberate user interaction or manual post-imaging manipulation of the data by some unknown individual. The methodology I used to evaluate the 22740 search artifact for house long to die in cold, as described in this affidavit, is generally accepted in the digital forensic scientific community and is consistent with applicable National Institute of Standard and Technology guidelines as shown in Digital Investigation Techniques, a NIST Scientific Foundation review, and is attached as Exhibit B. Signed and sworn under the pains and penalties of perjury, this 27th day of January, 2025. So this is after the first trial. It's like the case that just keeps on giving.
God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything.